My name is Gordon. I'm 22 years old, but this story happened when I was 10, and it takes place in Florida. Me, my 6-year-old brother, and parents were on our way to Disney World for the weekend. It was our first time driving there, and we got a bit lost. We had to leave in the afternoon, and it was quite a long drive from where we lived. And like I said, we got a bit lost. It was dark outside, and we had to drive through the country lanes, but it wasn't just dark. It was basically pitch black because there were no street lamps whatsoever. The country roads we were driving through were quite creepy. I know me and my brother were freaked out, and to be honest, I think my parents were too. We had been driving for a while and I had to pee very bad. I know we could pull over, but I really didn't want to because it was scary as hell out there. But unfortunately I couldn't hold it anymore, so I asked my dad to pull over. I got outside and I walked over to some nearby bushes, which led into a forest. It was pretty cold outside and I was shivering. Like I said, it was pitch black, but I could see a little bit because our car's headlights were on. I went to do my business when I heard a branch snap. I looked up and towards the woods, and I saw some kind of light. It was a lantern. I looked closer and it was floating up, and then I saw it wasn't floating. Someone was picking it up, and the lantern light revealed a face I would never forget. It was a man who looked to be in his late 40s. He had a gray beard, and he was smiling with his eyes wide open. He had crooked yellow teeth. I stood there in shock with tears in my eyes. He then motioned with his finger for me to come toward him. I pulled up my pants and ran back to my car. My mom said to me, "Are you okay, sweetie?" I just smiled and said yeah, and we continued driving. I didn't say anything to anyone about what I saw, and I still had to pee, but what was on my mind was that man I just saw. We finally arrived and I was able to use the bathroom. Me and my brother were, and still are close, so that night while we were laying in our beds, I told him what I saw, and to my surprise he didn't seem that freaked out when I told him. He looked down with a worried look on his face. Then he told me something he saw in the car while we were pulled over. He was looking outside of his window, which were farm fields. He said he saw what looked to be a family of 4 standing in the middle of a field, who were also holding lanterns. He then asked our mom who were those people, and her response was, "What people? There's no one out there." And at that point, that's when I got back in the car. That night, and many nights after, me and my brother have discussed what we saw, and we didn't know if it was real or not, or our imagination. I personally still believe to this day what I saw was real. This story still haunts me and gives me chills every time I think of it. What do you think?